In the history of the ancient world there were many great and worthy people. Some of them can be associated with a whole era of events and transformations: Gaius Marius, Sulla, Hannibal, King Mithridates. The hero of our today's narration not only entered history as a politician and conqueror, but also left to descendants very valuable historical information in the form of detailed books about the Gauls, Germans and his military campaigns. In general, about Gaius Julius Caesar can be said the following: without him there would not be the Rome that we all know about. The name Julius Caesar is no doubt familiar to everyone. The great Roman general, politician and writer is probably the most famous person from all of ancient history. Caesar's name is familiar even to those who have bypassed the history of antiquity. Julius Caesar boasted a truly divine origin. Rod Julius, even if not the richest and most influential, led its history from Julius Ascanius, son of Aeneas, grandson of Venus, great-grandson of Jupiter. Many representatives of the family at different times held prominent government positions. Caesar from an early age enthusiastically studied Latin and Greek language, rhetoric and oratory. His teacher was a Gaul. It is believed that it was in communication with him the descendant of the gods of Olympus began to prepare for the main business of his life, the Gallic campaign, without which the Romanization of the lands west of the Alps would not have taken place, and the history of mankind would be deprived of such a country as France. Like all Romance languages, French traces its lineage back to Latin. Julius Caesar's career began as a military aide to Marcus Minucius Termus, the governor of the province of Asia. Upon his return to Rome, Julius contracted his first marriage at his father's instruction. Subsequently, he would enter into marriage more than once more. Caesar, being a descendant of an aristocratic family, got into the proscription lists of Sulla and was forced to leave Italy in a hurry in Cilicia, where he joined a military campaign against pirates organized by the governor Publius Servilius. Caesar was not able to return to Rome, and after the death of Sulla, as in power again were his enemies, he fled to Asia, where he was captured by pirates and locked up in one of the Cilician fortresses. Pirates were the first defeated enemies of the future commander, having paid them off collected from relatives and friends the sum of 20 talents. Caesar hired ships and crews in Miletus and cruelly dealt with their offenders, returning the ransom. It is believed that while in pirate captivity, the young Caesar entertained himself and the overseers by composing poetry. But the latter Roman poetry did not penetrate, as Caesar himself claimed. Cilician his youthful graphomania did not like. Caesar was again in Rome and concluded a political marriage with the granddaughter of Sulla, Pompey. However, given the mores of the time, this union Caesar did not oblige to anything. For numerous and versatile sexual relations, he managed to get the nickname, the husband of all women and the wife of all husbands. Subsequently, remaining true to his views, the commander will flirt with everyone from the Gaulish women to the Queen of Egypt, for which the soldiers called Caesar, bald lecher. Of course, in jest, during the campaigns he enjoyed tremendous support and respect of the army. However, within the walls of Rome, the extraordinary popularity of Gaius Julius among the fair sex caused only hatred on the part of the aristocracy. Caesar not only undermined the privileges of the Roman elite, but also seduced their wives. Thus, Pompey divorced his wife because of her connection with Caesar, and Cato's cousin Servilia was the most loyal of the mistresses of the future dictator for life. Creating a portrait of the young Julius Caesar, we imagine more of a reckless party boy than a consistent politician. Only accumulated experience with age and growing responsibility from year to year will make him one of the most outstanding people in history. Involved in the political intrigues of Rome, Caesar began by bringing to trial a former supporter of Sulla, Gnaeus Dolabella, who had gotten dirty during the times of proscription and repression of the aristocracy. The panel of judges did not support the prosecution, but Caesar achieved popular respect for his speeches and democratic rhetoric. He did not seek to compete in eloquence with his opponents or to take the example of the great orators of his time, e.g., the great Cicero. Without sympathizing with such an Asian style, Caesar cultivated a courageous brevity and severe simplicity, which can be perfectly traced in his later writings. Simple, concise language, understandable to both educated patrician and commoner. In 68 BC, Julius Caesar was elected quaestor, assistant consul, and sent to serve in Spain. During his service, Caesar led military raids against local tribes, ravaging their settlements and collecting booty. Nevertheless, he earned the gratitude of Spanish cities allied to Rome by the widespread spread of Roman law and lower interest rates on Roman loans. Legends say that Gaius Caesar saw the statue of Alexander the Great and reproached himself that Alexander to his age has already managed to conquer half of the Mediterranean, and Caesar himself has not yet boasted of anything. Returning to Rome, Gaius Julius with redoubled vigor engaged in a struggle for honorable magistrate positions. In 65 he was elected aedile, responsible for public works. He won the popularity of the Romans, decorating the city with columns and new buildings, entertained the citizens with impeccable games. Caesar returned to the Forum the trophies of Marius, previously removed by order of Sulla. By all his actions, he indicated a desire for revolutionary change in the Republic. Soon, Caesar was in trouble with his creditors. Making his way to public office and decorating the city, he owed the sum of 25 million sesterces, and creditors opposed his sending the propraetor to Spain. Try to find another debtor in those wild lands. However, Caesar's career was saved by the richest man in Rome, Marcus Licinius Crassus, who signed over all his debts. During the Spanish campaign, Caesar was able to conduct several successful military operations and not only paid off his debts, but also enriched the Roman treasury, for which he was honored with a triumph. Caesar needed to win consular elections to continue his career. He enlisted Gnaeus Pompey on the side of the Democrats, a great political move. Pompey had just returned from the East after a series of successful diplomatic and military campaigns and had become one of Rome's richest citizens, almost on par with the aforementioned Crassus. However, the Senate was frightened by Pompey's return. Many senators were inclined to see him as the new Sulla, since the Pompeian army that had landed in Brundisium could well proclaim its commander dictator. The Senate refused to ratify the agreements concluded by Pompey with the rulers of Bithynia, Pontus, Syria and Palestine, and most importantly, refused to grant land to the veterans of the legions. Again, Rome faced the agrarian question, which caused revolution and civil war. Together with Pompey and Crassus, Caesar created the first triumvirate, which became a serious political force. Pompey agreed to support Caesar for his help in implementing proposals rejected by the Senate. Caesar was elected consul of Rome, along with the opposition Bibulus, who played virtually no role in decision-making. As we all remember, the consular magistracy gave the holder of the post almost royal powers. Caesar has not yet had time to take his consular post, as brought to the consideration of the proposals of Pompey the distribution of land between 20,000 of the poorest citizens, the approval of the agreements concluded by Pompey in the East, the reduction of taxes from the Asian provinces for a third. Of course, the Senate rejected all these proposals, and, probably, this is the reaction Caesar expected from the senators. He went straight to the People's Assembly, formerly the highest legislative body, which adopted all the projects of Pompey. The next high-profile initiative of the new consul was also adopted, bypassing the decision of the Senate. Caesar proposed to grant land to poor families with more than 3 children. At the end of his consular term, Caesar appointed himself governor of Cisalpine and Narbonne Gaul for the next 5 years. This was a step toward his subsequent European campaigns. A curious case occurred with Caesar's supporter Publius Clodius Pulchus, the young aristocrat, who betrayed his class to fight for the rights of the poor, liked not only Caesar's policy, but also his wife. Clodius infiltrated her in female attire at the festive ceremonies of the good goddess, was exposed and accused of desecrating the mysteries of the goddess. Caesar denied the accusations against his aide, but with his wife Pompey subsequently divorced. Because Caesar publicly commented on his decision, "My wife should be above suspicion." With this decision he did not rehabilitate, but neither did he condemn his close aide. The first consulship of Gaius Julius Caesar was truly historic. After a century of agrarian revolution, ideas of the brothers Gracchus finally triumphed. Land began to be distributed free of charge among Roman citizens, which began to relieve the heaviest social tensions. The second consul, Bibulus, did not show from his house and sluggishly opposed the reforms, usually announcing that the signs are unfavorable, and instead of the traditional, the year of the consulship of Caesar and Bibulus, was nicknamed by Roman jokers, the year of the consulship of Julius and Caesar. Our hero for the first time received in his hands almost sole power. In passing, it should be noted that in passing Caesar invented the first newspaper in history, the Daily Gazette, which published Senate debates, news and legislative acts. The sheets were copied, posted on the walls of forums and distributed to different corners of the state. The crazy young man, a lover of risk, wine and women, was gradually replaced by a statesman who prepared Rome for the transition from the republican system to the principate, a kind of monarchy.